6 weeks had passed since the battle. The council chamber was full again. Every seat was occupied. Every species had sent representatives. This was no ordinary meeting. This was a trial. Maybe a declaration of war. No one was quite sure yet. High Chancellor Vorn stood in the center platform. He was not in chains, but 2 guards stood nearby. He was technically a prisoner, but the council still gave him the courtesy of his rank. Captain Han Tai sat in the human observation section again. But this time he was not alone. Next to him sat Director Oh Sung-hoon, the head of Human External Affairs. Oh was older, his hair gray, his face lined with years of difficult decisions. And behind them, on screens visible to the entire council, Admiral Choi and her fleet waited in human space. Ambassador Krelthon called the meeting to order. His voice was not as confident as it had been 6 weeks ago. This emergency council session will address the destruction of the expeditionary fleet in human space. High Chancellor Vorn will give testimony, followed by the human delegation. Vorn stepped forward. He looked different now. Smaller somehow. Less proud. Honored council members, I will tell you what happened. I will tell you the truth even though it shames me. He described the journey into human space, the empty systems, the wreckage of previous expeditions, the defense platforms, the battle that lasted only 17 minutes. They destroyed 112 ships in minutes, Vorn said quietly. Our weapons could not touch their shields. Our sensors could not track their movements. Our tactics, which have won hundreds of battles, meant nothing. We were children fighting adults. The council members listened in silence. Many looked frightened. But the worst part, Vorn continued, was not the battle. It was what Admiral Choi told me afterward. She explained why the boundary exists. She told me about Earth's history. A history that none of us knew. He looked at Han Tai. I did not believe her at first. I thought it was propaganda. So they showed me. A screen appeared above the platform. It showed footage from Earth's archives. Images of the splintering. Cities burning. Ships destroying each other in massive space battles. Planets scarred by weapons. The numbers of dead scrolling endlessly. The council chamber was completely silent. 4 billion dead, Vorn said. Humans killed humans in numbers that we cannot imagine. They developed weapons that we cannot match. They built machines that think and kill. They created technology so advanced that our scientists cannot even understand the principles behind it. This is propaganda, someone called out. It was a council member from the Quellen systems. Earth is trying to frighten us, Director O stood up. May I speak? Krelthon nodded. O walked down to the center platform. He moved slowly like someone carrying a great weight. I am Director Oh Sung-hoon. I have served Earth's external affairs for 32 years. I was born on Mars. I have never set foot on Earth itself. But I know our history. Every human knows our history. We teach it to our children so they never forget. He gestured to the screens. This is not propaganda. This is our shame. This is why we drew the boundary. Not to threaten you. To protect you. Protect us from what? Another council member asked. From us, O said simply. Humanity achieved faster than light travel 400 years ago. Not 200 years ago, as your records show. We lied about when we developed the technology. We wanted you to think we were younger and less advanced than we are. Shocked voices filled the chamber. O continued. 400 years ago, we spread across the stars. We built colonies on 200 worlds. We mined asteroids and constructed cities in space. We thought we were ready to join the galaxy as equals. We were wrong. What happened? Krelthon asked. We fought over resources, over politics, over philosophy, over things that seem stupid now. Different human factions went to war. And because we had advanced technology, that war was devastating. O's voice was heavy with old pain. We did not just fight battles. We tried to exterminate each other. We used weapons that could destroy the atmosphere of a planet. We created diseases designed to kill billions. We built artificial intelligence that hunted humans across multiple star systems. He paused. We were very good at killing. Too good. Another screen appeared showing a destroyed world. The planet's surface was cracked and burned. Nothing lived there. This was New Beijing, O said. Population 300 million. Someone used a weapon that ignited the planet's core. Everyone died in less than an hour. The weapon was created by humans, used by humans, on humans. The council members stared at the image. The splintering lasted 50 years, O continued. When it finally ended, we looked at what we had done and realized something terrible. We realized that humans are dangerous. Not to others, to ourselves. We have something in our nature that makes us very effective at war. We can create terrible weapons. We can organize massive forces. We can fight with a ferocity that frightens us. So you isolated yourselves, Vorn said. Yes. Every surviving human faction came together and created the Sol Concordat. We agreed to limit our own expansion. We agreed to restrict our technology. We agreed to draw a boundary and stay within it. Not because you told us to, because we told ourselves to. Director O looked around at all the different species. The boundary on your maps exists to contain humanity. Those defense platforms that destroyed the expeditionary fleet, they point inward as much as outward. If humanity tries to expand again, those platforms will fire on our own ships. We built a cage around ourselves, but why not tell us this? Krelthon asked. Why keep it secret? Because we wanted to be forgotten, O said. We wanted the galaxy to think we were small and weak and unimportant. We wanted you to leave us alone while we figured out how to live with ourselves. The treaty gave us that. It gave us 200 years of peace. Hantai stood and joined O on the platform. The treaty was very clear. Stay out of our territory. Do not cross the boundary. We did not explain why because we hoped you would simply respect it. We were wrong. You could have warned us, a council member said. You could have told us you had this power. We did warn you, Hantai said firmly. The treaty itself was the warning. The boundary was the warning. When you sent the first 3 expeditions and they disappeared, that was a warning. When I stood in this chamber 6 weeks ago and told you not to cross the boundary, that was a warning. We gave you many chances to listen. And now? Krelthon asked. What does Earth want now? The same thing we have always wanted, O said. To be left alone. To live behind our boundary in peace. We do not want your worlds. We do not want to conquer or expand or threaten anyone. We simply want the galaxy to respect the treaty. A new voice spoke. It came from the highest seat in the chamber. Prime Counselor Ixvara had not spoken yet. She rarely spoke at all. She was old, older than any other member of the council. Her species were beings of pure energy that had evolved millions of years ago. I remember Earth, Ixvara said. Her voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. I remember when you first achieved spaceflight. I remember when you discovered faster-than-light travel. I remember when you nearly destroyed yourselves. Everyone in the chamber turned to look at her glowing form. I also remember 2 other species, Ixvara continued. The Vryn, who conquered 50 galaxies before they destroyed themselves, and the Korath, who built machines that eventually hunted them to extinction. Both were powerful. Both were dangerous. Both failed to control themselves. She drifted down from her high seat. Humanity is the 3rd species I have seen reach this level of power. But you are the first to choose restraint. You are the first to build a cage for yourselves. You are the first to recognize your own danger and step back from it. What are you saying? Krelthon asked. I am saying that humanity is a guardian species. You have the power to dominate, but you choose not to. You have the technology to conquer, but you choose to contain yourselves. This is rare. This is valuable. This is something the galaxy should protect, not challenge. Ixvara turned to face the entire council. I propose that we ratify the Treaty of Sol permanently. I propose that we recognize human space as sovereign and inviolate. I propose that any species that violates the boundary faces immediate sanctions. All in favor? The voting began. Lights appeared around the chamber as council members made their choices. Hantai watched the count. He felt O's hand on his shoulder. Will they accept it? O whispered, I do not know, Hantai replied. But if they do not, we will enforce the boundary ourselves. The voting took 10 minutes. When it was done, the results appeared on every screen. 847 votes in favor. 213 votes against. The treaty was ratified. Krelthon stood. The decision is made. Human space is recognized. The boundary will be respected. This council session is adjourned. The chamber slowly emptied. Hantai and O stood together, watching the other species leave. We won, O said quietly. We survived, Hantai corrected. But look at the votes against. 213 species still think we are lying, still think we should be challenged. What do we do about them? Hantai looked at the empty chamber. We watch, we wait, and we hope they are smarter than Vorn was. Somewhere in the darkness of space, The boundary waited, silent, patient, absolute. The galaxy had learned one lesson today, but some species would need to learn it again. The Council fleet opened fire first. 150 warships launched their weapons at the nearest defense platform. Missiles streaked through space, leaving bright trails. Energy beams cut through the darkness. It was the kind of coordinated attack that had conquered worlds. The defense platform absorbed every hit. Its shields glowed bright blue for a moment, then returned to their normal shimmer. Not a scratch. Not a dent. The weapons that could destroy planets had done nothing. Then the platform fired back. A single beam of white light shot from the platform. It moved so fast that the sensors barely registered it. The beam hit the lead warship directly in the center. The ship did not explode. It simply stopped existing. One moment it was there, the next moment there was only empty space and a cloud of atoms. On Vorn's flagship, alarms screamed. The crew shouted in panic, "Evasive maneuvers!" Thrain yelled, "All ships scatter!" Too late. The defense platforms opened fire together. 372 beams of light cut through the Council fleet. Ships vanished. Some exploded. Others were sliced in half. The carefully organized formation became chaos in seconds. "Return fire! Return fire!" Vorn shouted. The fleet fought back desperately. Every weapon they had fired at once. The space between the ships and the platforms filled with missiles, beams, and projectiles. It looked like a storm of light and fire. Nothing touched the platforms. Their shields were too strong. But worse was coming. From the darkness beyond the platforms, new ships appeared. Human ships. They were smaller than the Council warships, sleeker, darker. They moved with impossible speed and precision. Admiral Choi's voice came through the communications again. "Third Fleet, engage targets. Rules of engagement, disable and capture where possible." The human ships attacked. They moved between the Council vessels like dancers, their weapons firing with perfect accuracy. Every shot hit. Every shot disabled engines or weapons or shields. The human ships seemed to know exactly where to strike. On the Dominator's bridge, Dr. Yoon watched in horror. Not horror at what was happening to the Council fleet, but horror because she had known this would happen. She had warned them. They had not listened. A human ship appeared directly in front of the view screen. It was close enough to see details on its hull. The name was written in both human letters and galactic standard. Unstoppable. "That ship is targeting us," the weapons officer shouted. "Fire everything." Vorn ordered. The Dominator launched every weapon it had. The human ship did not dodge. It did not try to avoid the attack. The missiles and beams hit its shields and simply disappeared, absorbed completely. Then the Unstoppable fired back. A blue pulse of energy hit the Dominator. Every system went dark. Lights, engines, weapons, life support. Everything shut down for 3 seconds. When the systems came back online, red warnings covered every screen. "Damage report," Thrain demanded. "Engines at 20%. Weapons offline. Shields failing." The reports came from multiple stations at once. The Unstoppable moved alongside the Dominator. It matched their speed exactly, like a predator staying close to wounded prey. "This is Captain Kim Jae-hwan of the Unstoppable," a voice said through the communications. "High Chancellor Vorn, your ship is disabled. Surrender now and your crew will not be harmed." Vorn stared at the enemy ship through the view screen. Around them, the battle continued. But battle was the wrong word. It was a slaughter. No, not even that. It was pest control. The humans were swatting the Council ships aside like insects. The entire engagement lasted 17 minutes. When it was over, 112 Council ships were disabled and drifting. 38 had been completely destroyed because they had refused to surrender and had kept fighting. The remaining ships, including the Dominator, were held in place by some kind of technology that locked their engines. Not one human ship had been damaged. Marines in heavy armor boarded the disabled vessels. On the Dominator, Yoon heard the docking clamp attached to the hull. She heard the cutting torches opening a path through the airlock. The bridge crew drew their weapons and pointed them at the door. "Do not fire," Yoon said loudly. "Please, they will kill you all if you fire." "We are warriors," one officer said. "We do not surrender." "You are dead warriors if you pull that trigger," Yoon said. "Look at your screens. Look at what they did to your fleet. Do you think your pistols will stop them?" The door opened. The Marines came through fast and professional. They wore armor that made them look like machines. Their weapons were raised but not firing. They moved with absolute confidence. The lead Marine scanned the room. His helmet hid his face, but his voice was calm and clear. "Drop your weapons." "Hands up, now." The council crew hesitated. The Marine's weapon tracked across them, ready to fire. "Drop them," Yoon said again. "Please." Slowly, the crew put down their weapons. The Marines secured them quickly and efficiently. They were not cruel, but they were not gentle either. This was clearly something they had practiced many times. One Marine approached Yoon. "Dr. Yoon Subin?" "Yes, Sergeant Baek Hyo-jin, Earth Marines. Admiral Choi wants to see you. You are not under arrest. Come with me, please." Yoon followed the sergeant through the corridors. Other Marines were escorting crew members to holding areas. Everything was organized and controlled. These humans had done this before. They took her to a shuttle. It detached from the Dominator and flew to one of the human warships. The ship that had identified itself as the Unstoppable. Inside, everything was clean and advanced. The walls glowed with soft light. Screens showed information in multiple languages. Crew members moved with purpose and discipline. Admiral Choi was waiting in a conference room. She was exactly as she had appeared on the screen. Middle-aged, professional, and completely in control. She stood when Yoon entered. "Dr. Yoon, please sit. You are safe now." Yoon sat. "Safe? You just destroyed a council fleet." "We disabled a council fleet," Choi corrected. "We destroyed only the ships that refused to surrender. The Treaty of Seoul is clear about consequences for violation. They were warned. The council does not know what Earth has become. They think humans are weak. Yes, we know. That was intentional. We preferred to be underestimated and left alone. Then why reveal your strength now?" Admiral Choi sat down across from her. "Because they crossed the boundary. Because they refused to listen to warnings. Because if we did nothing, more would come. Better to show our strength once than to be forced to defend constantly." The door opened. Sergeant Bayek entered with High Chancellor Vorn. The massive reptilian was in restraints. His pride was gone. He looked defeated. "Sit," Choi said to him. Vorn sat heavily. "You will answer for this. The Council will declare war on Earth. You have attacked Council ships. You have killed Council citizens." "No," Choi said calmly. "You attacked first. We have complete recordings. You fired on our defense platforms. You violated our territory after being warned multiple times. You ignored a treaty that has stood for 200 years. She leaned forward. "High Chancellor, you came here expecting to find humans to be weak and primitive. You came here expecting easy passage and no resistance. What you found instead was something you did not expect. Would you like to know what that is?" Vorn said nothing. "You found the truth. The truth that Earth has spent 200 years hiding from the galaxy. We are not weak. We never were. We isolated ourselves not because we feared you, but because we feared ourselves." "I do not understand," Vorn said. Yoon spoke quietly. "Tell him about the splintering." Choi nodded. 300 years ago, humanity achieved faster-than-light travel. We spread across hundreds of systems. We built colonies on 1,000 worlds. We developed technology that made us powerful. Too powerful, she paused. And then we turned that power on ourselves. Civil war, Yoon explained. Humanity fought itself for 50 years. We developed weapons so terrible that they could crack planets. We built machines that could think and kill without mercy. We created viruses that could wipe out entire populations. We nearly destroyed ourselves. 4 billion humans died, Choi continued. Entire colonies were wiped out. We came very close to extinction. Vorn stared at them. What stopped you? We did. We stopped ourselves. We looked at what we had become and made a choice. We agreed to the Sol Concordat. We agreed to limit our own expansion, to restrict our own technology, to isolate ourselves from the galaxy. Why? Because we realized something, Choi said. We realized that our greatest danger was not alien species or external threats. Our greatest danger was our own nature. Humans are very good at war. Too good. We needed to protect the galaxy from what we might become if we kept expanding. The boundary, Vorn said slowly. You drew the boundary to contain yourselves. Yes, the defense platforms you encountered, those are not pointed outward to stop invaders. They are pointed inward to stop us if we ever break our own concordat. If humanity tries to expand again, if we try to become conquerors, those platforms will destroy our own ships. Choi stood. You thought the boundary was to keep you out? It was never about you. It was about us. Vorn looked at the floor. What happens now? Now, Admiral Choi said, You will help us decide. You will return to the council. You will tell them what happened here. You will explain why the boundary exists, and you will help us determine if the galaxy can accept the truth about humanity. The invasion fleet was impressive. 150 warships moved through space in perfect formation. High Chancellor Vorn stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominator. Around him, crew members worked at their stations, monitoring systems and communications. Vorn felt satisfied. This would show Earth that the Council could not be intimidated. This would prove that human warnings meant nothing. In a small room near the back of the ship, Dr. Yoon Subin sat alone. She was a xenobiologist, someone who studied alien life forms. The Council had requested her presence on this mission. They said requested, but it felt more like an order. She was human, so she should help them navigate human space. She had tried to refuse. She had tried to explain that this was a terrible idea. But the Council did not listen to her either. The door opened. A tall, four-armed officer entered. This was Thrain, Vorn's tactical advisor. His species were famous warriors. They had won hundreds of battles across the galaxy. Dr. Yoon, Thrain said, the High Chancellor requests your presence on the bridge. Of course, she said quietly. She followed him through the corridors. The bridge was huge. Screens covered every wall, showing views of space and data streams. Vorn turned when she entered. Doctor, we are about to cross into human space. I want you here to advise us if we encounter any human ships. You will not encounter any human ships, Yoon said. How can you be certain? Because this region is empty. No humans live here. No humans patrol here. You will find nothing. Vorn looked annoyed. Then why does Earth prohibit entry? I told you already. You should turn back. Ridiculous. We crossed the boundary in 10 minutes. He turned back to his screens. Yoon stood silently. She wanted to scream at them. She wanted to grab Vorn and shake him and make him understand. But she had tried that already. Words did not work on people who refused to listen. The ship's computer announced the boundary crossing. A line appeared on the main screen marking the edge of human space. The fleet crossed it without slowing down. Nothing happened. Vorn laughed. You see? Earth's great boundary is meaningless. All stations report status. Every ship reported normal operations. No problems. No threats. Just empty space and distant stars. Proceed to the first waypoint, Vorn ordered. Maximum speed. The fleet accelerated. They traveled for hours. Systems passed by on their screens. Every system was empty. No planets with cities. No space stations. No mining operations. Just rocks and gas and dead worlds. This is strange, Thrain said after the sixth empty system. These systems have resources. Good resources. Why has Earth not colonized them? Maybe they are lazy, another officer suggested. Several crew members laughed, but Yoon did not laugh. She studied the scan results carefully. Something was wrong with these systems. Very wrong. High Chancellor, she said. Look at these asteroid belts. What about them?
They have been mined.
Look at the composition reports. Every valuable mineral has been extracted. Every useful element has been taken. These belts should be rich with resources, but they are empty. Vorn frowned. Mining operations leave behind equipment, stations. Where are the miners? Gone, Yoon said. Everything has been removed. The systems have been cleaned completely. Thrain moved closer to examine the data. His four hands moved quickly across the controls, pulling up more detailed scans. His expression changed. She is correct. These systems have been systematically stripped. This would require massive industrial operations. Where did the equipment go? I do not know, Yoon admitted. But this kind of mining takes decades, maybe centuries. Earth has been working in this region for a very long time. But why remove everything? Vorn demanded. Why leave the systems empty? Yoon met his eyes. Because they wanted you to think no one was here. They wanted you to think this space was unimportant. The bridge went quiet. Continue forward, Vorn finally said. We will find answers deeper in human space. They traveled for 3 more days. Every system was the same, empty, cleaned, silent. Then they found the wreckage. The sensors detected it first. Metal debris floating in space. Lots of debris. The fleet slowed down and moved closer. On the main screen, the wreckage became visible. Pieces of ships, hull fragments, destroyed engines. The debris field stretched for thousands of kilometers. Scan it, Vorn ordered. His voice was tense now. The results came back quickly. Thrain read them aloud. 15 ships. Council design. Vex collective markings. He paused. These are the expeditions that went missing. The bridge was silent except for the soft sounds of machinery. Every crew member stared at the screens. Yoon felt sick. She had known this would happen. She had warned them. What destroyed them? Vorn asked quietly. Unknown weapons, Thrain said. The damage patterns do not match anything in our database. The cuts are too clean. The metal has been melted at temperatures we cannot achieve. Whatever hit these ships used technology far beyond ours. Human technology? Possibly, probably. Thrain zoomed in on one piece of wreckage. Look at this hull fragment. Something cut through the armor like it was paper. Our best weapons cannot do this. Vorn stared at the wreckage for a long time. Then he straightened up. We continue forward, High Chancellor, Thrain said carefully. Perhaps we should reconsider. If humans can do this to 15 ships, what will they do to 150? We outnumber those expeditions 10 to 1, Vorn said. And we are prepared for combat. They were not. We will not be caught by surprise. Sir, we have no idea what we are facing, Yoon said urgently. We know nothing about human military capabilities. The Council's information about Earth is 200 years old. Humans could have developed anything in that time. Then we will discover what they have developed, Vorn said firmly, and we will show them that the Council is not afraid. Tactical officer, put all ships on combat alert. Shields to maximum. Weapons ready. We proceed with caution, but we proceed. The fleet moved forward. Every crew member was tense now. The laughter and confidence from earlier were gone. They had seen what happened to ships that came this way. On the 4th day after finding the wreckage, the sensors detected something new. Sir, the sensor officer called out. I am reading massive energy signatures ahead. Very massive. Show me, Vorn ordered. The main screen changed. In the distance, barely visible, were structures. Huge structures. They floated in space in a perfect grid pattern, hundreds of kilometers apart. There were dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. What are those? Someone whispered. Yoon looked at the scan results. Her hands started shaking. Defense platforms, automated weapons stations. They are powered up and tracking us. How powerful? Vorn asked. Yoon checked the numbers again, hoping she had made a mistake. She had not. Each one has more firepower than 10 of our largest warships, combined. How many platforms are there? The sensor officer counted. 372, that we can detect. There may be more. Thrain did the math quickly. That is equivalent to 3,700 warships. High Chancellor, we must retreat immediately. But before Vorn could respond, the communication system activated. A signal was coming through. The screen changed again. A woman appeared. She was human, middle-aged, with short dark hair and a crisp military uniform. Her expression was cold and calm. Attention unidentified fleet. You have entered restricted human space. You have violated the Treaty of Sol. I am Admiral Choi Min-seo, Commander of the 3rd Fleet Earth Defense Command. You will power down your weapons immediately and prepare to be escorted back to the boundary. You have 30 seconds to comply. Vorn found his voice. I am High Chancellor Vorn of the Galactic Council. We are exercising our right to free passage through this region. We have broken no laws. You have violated our treaty. You have 20 seconds. Earth cannot possibly enforce this restriction, Vorn said. We have 150 warships. Admiral Choi's expression did not change. You have 15 seconds. I strongly suggest you comply. And if we refuse, then you will join the wreckage of the previous expeditions. 10 seconds, Vorn looked at Thrain. Can we fight them? No, Thrain said simply. Not with those platforms. Not with whatever destroyed the other ships. Then we would appear weak. We would survive, Thrain said. Vorn's pride would not let him surrender. Not to Earth. Not to these isolated, forgotten humans who thought they could challenge the Council. All ships, he ordered. Open fire on the nearest defense platform. Yoon closed her eyes. She knew what came next. Admiral Choi's image disappeared from the screen. Her voice came through one more time, cold and final. You were warned. Then the battle began. The council chamber was massive. Hundreds of alien species filled the floating seats that circled the center platform. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few were just clouds of glowing gas. They all came here to make decisions for the galaxy. Today, they were talking about new trade routes. Captain Han Tai stood in the observation section. He wore his dark blue uniform with the Earth symbol on his shoulder. Next to him, Commander Park Ji-woo tapped quietly on her datapad. They were not supposed to speak today. Humans rarely spoke at these meetings. Most of the galaxy had forgotten humans were even part of the council. That was exactly how Earth wanted it. Ambassador Krelthon stepped onto the center platform. He was tall and thin, with 4 arms and eyes that looked like black marbles. His species, the Vex Collective, controlled trade routes across 70 star systems. When he spoke, his voice clicked and buzzed through the translator. Honored council members, I present a solution to our trade problems. A holographic map appeared above the platform. Blue lines showed the current trade routes. Red lines showed new proposed routes. These new paths will cut travel time by 40%. Goods will move faster. Profits will increase. Many council members nodded their various heads. Some made sounds of approval. Hantai leaned forward. Something was wrong with that map. He zoomed in on his own datapad. His jaw tightened. Park, he whispered. Look at Route 7. Park Jiwoo looked. Her eyes went wide. That goes straight through the boundary zone. The red line on the map cut directly through the edge of human space. It crossed the boundary that had been marked on every galactic map for 200 years. The boundary that every species had agreed to respect. Hantai raised his hand. I wish to speak. The chamber went quiet. Hundreds of alien eyes turned toward him. Many looked surprised. Some looked annoyed. Humans almost never spoke at council meetings. Krelthon's mandibles clicked together. The observer from Earth wishes to address the council. This is unusual, but permitted, Hantai said calmly. He walked down to the center platform. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. I have a question about Route 7. What about it? Krelthon asked. It crosses through restricted human space. This violates the Treaty of Sol. Several council members made dismissive sounds. One large reptilian creature laughed. That was High Chancellor Vorn. He commanded the council's military forces. His species had conquered 20 worlds before joining the council. The Treaty of Sol, Vorn said slowly, is 200 years old. Ancient history. Surely Earth does not still maintain such primitive restrictions. We do, Hantai said. The treaty is clear. No unauthorized ships may enter the marked zones. This has not changed. Krelthon's forearms spread wide. Captain Hantai, please understand. We are not planning to colonize human worlds. This is merely passage through empty space. Your species has marked off hundreds of systems, but our scans show no human presence in most of them. Surely you can allow simple transit. No, Hantai said. The boundary exists for a reason. What reason? Vorn demanded. He stood from his seat, his massive form towering over the platform. What possible reason could justify blocking galactic trade routes through empty space? Hantai looked at him steadily. The treaty explains the reason. I suggest you read it. I have read it, Vorn said. It says only that the marked territory is restricted. It gives no explanation. It offers no justification. It simply demands that we stay out. He stepped closer. Tell me, Captain, what is Earth hiding in those empty systems? Nothing, Hantai said. Then you will not object to simple passage. I will object. Strongly. Park Jiwoo had moved down to stand beside Hantai. She whispered urgently. Captain, we need to leave now. But Vorn was already speaking again. Perhaps, he said loudly, Earth's objections would carry more weight if we had not already sent ships through that region. The chamber erupted in noise. Council members turned to each other, speaking in dozens of languages. Hantai felt his blood go cold. What did you say? He asked quietly. Vorn smiled, showing many teeth. 3 expeditions have already used routes through human space. We sent them months ago to survey the paths. They should have returned by now with their findings. And? Hantai asked. Where are they? Vorn's smile faded. They have not returned. We assume technical failures. Space is dangerous. Ships are lost sometimes. Hantai closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, his voice was hard. High Chancellor, how many ships did you send? 15 total. 5 in each expedition. And none returned? None. Did any of them send distress signals? Vorn hesitated. No, they simply stopped transmitting. All at once, the chamber had gone quiet again. All the council members were listening now. Even those who did not care about human space were interested in this mystery. Hantai looked around at all the alien faces. I need to explain something. Something that Earth has tried to make clear for 200 years. The boundary on your maps is not a suggestion. It is not a negotiation. It is a warning. A warning of what? Krelthon asked. Captain, your species has 50 systems. Maybe fewer. You have small colonies on a dozen worlds. You build nice ships, but nothing that concerns the Council. You are minor players in galactic affairs. Why should we fear crossing into your empty space? Because, Han Tai said slowly, that space is not empty, and those ships you sent did not experience technical failures. They crossed the boundary. They violated the treaty, and they suffered the consequences. Vorn laughed. Are you saying Earth destroyed them? 15 ships? The Council would consider that an act of war. I am saying, Han Tai replied, that the treaty exists to protect you. All of you. Earth did not draw that boundary to keep you out. We drew it to keep ourselves contained. Silence filled the massive chamber. Park Ji-woo touched Han Tai's arm. Her voice was barely a whisper. Captain, I do not think they understand. They do not want to understand, Han Tai said. They think we are weak. They think 200 years of peace means we are harmless. Vorn stepped forward. The Council will vote. I propose we authorize the new trade routes, including passage through the edge of human space. All in favor? Hundreds of glowing buttons lit up around the chamber. The vote was nearly unanimous. Only a handful of species voted against it. Han Tai stood perfectly still. Then I must formally protest this decision. I must warn this Council that any ships entering human space without authorization will not return. Earth will not send them back. Earth will not negotiate. The treaty was your protection, and you have voted to ignore it. Noted, Vorn said dismissively. I will personally lead the next expedition. We will use your Route 7. Perhaps when I return safely, Earth will reconsider its position. Han Tai looked at the massive reptilian commander. For a moment he almost felt pity. High Chancellor, I strongly advise against this course of action. Your advice is noted and rejected. This meeting is adjourned. The Council members began to leave, floating or walking or drifting toward the exits. They talked among themselves, excited about the new trade routes and the profits they would bring. None of them looked worried. Han Tai and Park Ji-woo walked back through the long corridors toward their shuttle. Neither spoke until they were alone. Should we warn them? Park Ji-woo finally asked. Should we tell them what is really out there? Han Tai shook his head. We just did. We gave them the treaty. We drew the line. We explained it was a warning. They chose not to listen. What do we do now? Now, Han Tai said quietly, we document everything. We record this vote. We send the report back to Earth and we wait. Wait for what? Han Tai looked out the window at the stars. For them to learn why the galactic map stops at human space, and why it should have stayed that way. Somewhere in the darkness beyond the lights of the Council station, the boundary waited. Silent. Patient. Absolute. And High Chancellor Vorn was about to cross it. 3 months had passed since the Council vote. The galaxy was different now. Everyone knew about humanity's power. Everyone knew about the splintering. Everyone knew why the boundary existed. Most species respected it. Some did not. Captain Han Tai was now Ambassador General Han Tai. His new office was on Concordia Prime, the neutral station where the Council met. He stood at his window, looking out at the ships coming and going. So many species, so many different forms of life, all sharing this galaxy together. His door chimed. Come in, he called. Commander An Ji-yu entered. She was young for a commander, but her work in intelligence was exceptional. She carried a datapad and looked worried. Ambassador, we have a problem. Han Tai turned. Show me. An activated a holographic display. Star maps appeared showing various sectors of the galaxy. Several systems were marked in red. These are species that voted against the treaty, An explained. Most of them accepted the results and moved on. But these 7 species have formed an alliance. They call themselves the Supremacy Front. Let me guess, Han Tai said. They think the Council made a mistake. They think humanity is still weak. Yes. Our intelligence indicates they are planning military action. They believe if they attack together, they can force Earth to back down. Han Tai studied the map. How many ships? 200. Maybe more. They are gathering forces in secret, but our monitoring network has detected their preparations. Where will they attack? 3 locations simultaneously. Human outposts on the edge of our territory. They want to test our defenses without striking deep into our space. Han Tai sat down heavily. So it begins again. We showed them our strength. We explained our history. We gave them every reason to respect the boundary. And still they come. What do we do? Han asked. We prepare, but not the way they expect. Hantai activated his communication system. Get me Admiral Choi and contact the council. I want to speak with the loyalist faction. 1 hour later, Hantai stood in a conference room with representatives from 15 species. These were council members who had voted in favor of the treaty. They had chosen to support humanity. Admiral Choi appeared on the main screen from her flagship. The Supremacy Front is planning an attack, Hantai explained. He showed them the intelligence data. They will strike in 1 week. If we respond with overwhelming force, we prove their fears right. We become the aggressive power they claim we are. What do you propose? Asked a Threllan diplomat. Her species had been one of the first to support the treaty. A joint operation, Hantai said. Human and council forces working together. We intercept the Supremacy Front before they reach our territory. We show them that the galaxy will defend the treaty together. You want us to fight alongside you? Another diplomat asked. Against other council species? Yes, because this is not about humanity anymore. This is about the treaty. This is about whether the council's decisions mean anything. If species can simply ignore votes they disagree with, the council has no authority. The diplomats looked at each other. The Threllan spoke first. My government will commit ships. We support this action. One by one, the others agreed. Within the hour, a coalition fleet was being organized. Admiral Choi smiled on the screen. This will be interesting. I have never fought beside alien species before. Neither have they, Hantai said. Make sure we protect them. Show them that humans value our allies. 1 week later, the coalition fleet waited at the intercept point. 50 human warships, 90 council vessels from a dozen different species. They formed a mixed formation, human ships integrated with their allies. On the bridge of Admiral Choi's flagship, the wait was tense. Dr. Yoon Soo Bin was there too. She had asked to observe to see if the galaxy could actually work together. Contacts, the sensor officer announced. 200 ships. Supremacy Front signatures. They are dropping out of faster-than-light travel. The enemy fleet appeared on screen. They looked surprised to see the coalition waiting for them. Their communications lit up with confused chatter. Admiral Choi opened a channel. Attention Supremacy Front fleet. This is Admiral Choi Minseo. You are violating council law by organizing this attack. You are also violating the Treaty of Sol. Stand down immediately. The response came from the front's leader, a Quellan warrior named Drex. Admiral Choi, we did not expect to meet you here. Where are the outposts we plan to strike? Behind us, protected, you will not reach them. You brought council ships? Drex sounded confused. You fight alongside other species? Yes. Because the treaty protects everyone, not just humanity. Because the council voted and you chose to ignore that vote. Because some things are worth defending together. You cannot stop us. We outnumber you 2 to 1. You outnumbered us before, Choi said calmly. How did that work out? Silence from Drex, last chance, Choi said. Power down your weapons and disperse. No one needs to die today. Drex cut the communication. The Supremacy Front fleet charged forward, weapons hot. All ships, Choi ordered. Engage. Rules of engagement. Disable if possible, destroy if necessary. Protect our allies. The battle began differently than the last one. This time, council ships fought alongside human vessels. The coalition fleet moved as one. Their attacks coordinated and precise. The Supremacy Front was stronger than Vorn's expedition had been. They had prepared for human technology. They had developed new tactics. But they had not prepared for this. They had not expected the council to turn against them. A Threllan cruiser took heavy fire. Its shields collapsed. Before the killing blow could land, a human ship moved between them. The human shields absorbed the attack. Return fire disabled the enemy ship. Thank you. Unstoppable, the Threllan captain transmitted. Protecting allies is what we do, Captain Kim Jae-hwan replied. Across the battlefield, the same scene repeated. Human ships shielded their coalition partners. Council vessels coordinated attacks with human warships. They were learning to fight together. Sergeant Baek Hyo-jin led Marines in boarding actions again. But this time, council soldiers fought beside them. They breached enemy ships together, secured prisoners together, saved lives together. The battle lasted 2 hours. When it ended, the Supremacy Front fleet was scattered. 80 ships disabled, 30 destroyed, the rest fleeing back to their home systems. The coalition had lost 5 ships, all council vessels. No human ships had been destroyed, but several had taken damage protecting their allies. On the bridge of Choi's flagship, Dr. Yoon watched the aftermath. Council crews were evacuating damaged ships. Human vessels were helping with rescue operations. Marines from different species were securing prisoners together. "This is new," she said quietly. Admiral Choi nodded. "Yes, the galaxy is learning that humanity can be trusted, that we keep our word, that we protect those who stand with us. Will it be enough?" Yoon asked.
Will they remember this?
"Some will. Others will need more lessons. But today was important. Today we showed that the treaty is not just human words. It is a galactic commitment." Back on Concordia Prime, Ambassador Han Tai received reports from the battle. He read them carefully, then called a council meeting. This time, when he entered the chamber, species stood to greet him. The ones whose ships had fought beside human vessels. They knew now what humanity had been trying to tell them all along. "The Supremacy Front has been defeated," Han Tai announced. "The treaty holds. The boundary remains. And today we proved something important. We proved that humans and council species can work together. We proved that the treaty protects everyone." Krelthon spoke. "Ambassador, your ships took damage protecting ours. You could have let us fall and eliminated the threat more easily." "Yes," Han Tai agreed, "but that is not who we are anymore. We learned that lesson during the splintering. Power without loyalty is meaningless. Strength without trust is hollow. If we want the galaxy to respect our boundary, we must respect our allies." Prime Counselor Ixvara descended from her high seat. "I propose a new initiative, a joint patrol program. Human and council ships monitoring the boundary together, not as guards keeping species apart, but as partners maintaining peace." The vote was unanimous this time. After the meeting, Han Tai walked with Director O through the station corridors. "It worked," O said. "They are beginning to trust us." "Some of them," Han Tai corrected. "Others still fear us. That fear will not disappear quickly. What happens now?" Han Tai looked out a window at the stars. "Now we wait. We maintain the boundary. We honor our commitments. We protect our allies. And maybe in a few generations the galaxy will forget to fear us. Will we ever expand beyond the boundary? Perhaps. When we are ready. When the galaxy is ready. When we can be certain we will not repeat the mistakes of the splintering." Han Tai paused. "The boundary is not a prison. It is a promise. A promise that humanity will not become what we once were." Far away at the edge of human space, the defense platform stood silent. The boundary markers glowed softly in the darkness. Hand on patrol, human ships flew alongside vessels from a dozen other species. The galactic map still showed the boundary, still marked where human space began and ended. But now that line meant something different. It was no longer just a warning. It was not just a restriction.